Gurudev Namo. Om Namo Gurudev Namo. Om Namo Gurudev Namo. Inhale. Suspend the breath, hold the focus, and exhale. Oh, nice. Good. Good. All right, everybody. I am recording, so if you would like to, if you do not want to be recorded, then click on the stop video. And Jenny, you had a question.
Good morning. Thank you.
Good morning.
So my question is, when I say the words, I'm learning. I'm new to chanting, and I understand that it needs the vibration, or it's about the vibration. Mm-hmm. So do I really want to make sure that I noticed that you kind of extended some words? I notice I don't have the same emphasis sometimes that you do on words. Is that something I really want to make sure I know is really how I'm hearing the word as well, to make sure that my vibration is correct?
Yes. It's one of those questions. Are you talking about on the Ag Namo Gurudev Namo?
Well, I'm starting with that. As I said, I'm new to this.
Okay.
I'm new to the chanting.
Yes.
So that said, I will definitely say that how I had said it in my head, how I had read the words, it was very different when I heard others chanting it myself. So I'm finding myself really wanting to try to mirror, how you say it. So I'm getting that same vibration.
Yes.
But I know that if I were to look at words on my own, do I really want to, Google it and make sure I'm saying the right emphasis in the right place to get the vibration? Right. Does that matter?
Well, yes. And you could probably YouTube it as well. I'm sure you'd find a lot of it so that you could actually hear it. The one thing that you want to keep in mind with that chant, it is a long chant because you're trying to increase or elongate your outgoing breath, your exhale breath. Okay. Right? And it's a very nasally sound, that ong, and then the tongue goes up at the roof of the mouth, ong, namo, Gurudev, namo. So really, chant it as long as you can exhale. Okay. And so you'll have to play around with how long you can go with each one for as long as you can exhale. And just be sure to allow the tongue to go up, to cut off that ong, where you and really your tongue will want to do it. You'll feel the tongue want to go up, and it's very nasally chant. Because we're working on that vibration in and around your head. Okay. Did that answer your question?
Yes. Yes. That answered my question.
A lot of the reason why you're not able to probably get that same length is it takes some time to learn how to get that whole chant out on the exhale.
Okay, that makes sense too.
Sometimes you have to take a sip in and then keep going.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
You're very welcome. Okay. So let me pull up the PowerPoint and screen share. I'll watch the chat. If you have questions along the way, we will go from there. Okay, I hope I did that. Are we seeing it? Everybody seeing it? Very good, very good. Okay, all things Kundalini. So yesterday we experienced the practice of Kundalini yoga. We got on the mat and we did the Kriya for elevation. And then we did some breath work later, the Surya breath. And we did the Sat, Kar, Tar, Mudra, and mantra and meditation. The Aquarian, we're going to just touch like that quick on the Aquarian age and go through this just real quick and get us all caught up where we left off. Because I've got a lot of fun information I want to get to at the end. So the Aquarian age will be in that for the next 2,000 years, and it is the time of compassion and connection. The motto is be to be, and there's no longer the need to look outside of ourselves. The Guru is within us, and the duality doesn't work. All that's fading away. And as well as there's no secrets in the Aquarian age. And let's see. I love the part about realizing you're something by just being. You don't have to prove yourself anymore. You know, we're getting out of that. The sutras of the Aquarian age that Yogi Bhajan passed down was recognize the other person as you. There's a way through every block. When the time is on, you start and the pressure will be off, and understand through compassion or you will misunderstand the times. Vibrate cosmos and the path. I will share my experience with this just to let you all know. I refer to these particular sutras a lot so that I'm vibrating in the energy of the earth right now, the planetary energy of the earth. And it's helpful. It feels good to recognize the other person as you. This is compassion, ahimsa. We'll treat people different, you know, a way through every block. So I want to encourage you to keep that in mind. It's a good one to have as a tool. It's just a tool. Kundalini yoga is a personal experience. The motto being be to be. So when we're on the mat and practicing our kriyas, a lot can come up, you know, and you can have a bunch of different sensations. And yesterday, I'm going to move into the kriya, the yoga of action. There were people that a lot of students said that they were having some stuff going on in their backside body, in their back. They felt pressure and they couldn't really tell me whether or not it was muscular or skeletal. And after our workshop yesterday, I'm committed. I always try to go to a 4 o'clock Kundalini class, and it's on Zoom, and I was able to pop in. And I was struggling to be present because I was hungry, and we'd already had a full day, and I had some stuff going on. And afterwards, I felt a sensation in my back that I don't know that I felt before or tuned into or even really recognized. And I thought, I was like, well, that's odd. And I drank a lot of water. Always drink a lot of water when you have things that feel like they're blocked or stuck. Go to water. That's good. Just start drinking some water, maybe even some lemon water. Take a shower or a bath and some salt or something, but cleanse your aura, cleanse yourself. And then get good rest. Get good rest. And so I did those things. I woke up this morning. I was on the mat practicing, and my spine was more open. It didn't even feel like the spine I had yesterday. So I sat with that, and I asked, I was tuned in, and I wanted, guidance from my higher resources. And what came to me was, I thought, oh, I bet that's what a lot of the students were feeling, that feeling of almost like a pressure in your back. And then it came to me where I thought, interesting. And what made sense to me in that experience was prana. And then it came to me as, if you're familiar with nanobites, right? They're little bitty particles that can be programmed and they can do all the kind of stuff. I was like, oh, it was like the prana was its own little nanobot in my body, and it knew exactly where to go and what to do in its own intelligence to remove blockage. It was pretty profound for me. That was like a Kundalini awakening in my experience for myself, because it was the first time that I was able to sit with it. What now? Do you have a question? Oh, I heard somebody. I thought I heard somebody speaking. That was really amazing for me to experience that, because I wanted to identify with what the students were feeling, and it felt like pressure. And so I was hoping that some of them, that they would be here today so I could ask, was it that kind of sensation? And then it goes back to the experience, when we're practicing the Kundalini yoga and we're working with these energies of the body, to trust in the body's own intelligence to heal and to remove these blockages and to open up. Because my spine, it was like amazing. I was like, oh my gosh, what happened? That didn't even feel the same. It's Kriya Yoga is the yoga of action. And this is where I brought this up, because when we're practicing Kundalini, because we are doing so much, we're often using a mantra. We're using pranayama. We're using a moving asana. We are, chanting the mantra. We're using a mudra. That is work on all 10 bodies. And we're going to talk about that in this presentation today. The healing sound is your own voice. And the science of a mantra is based on the knowledge that the sound forms energy, having structure, power, and definite predictable effect on the chakras. I found some research on that I added to the presentation so that you all could see that. I thought that would be interesting for you all to have. It's always nice when science backs things up for us. The golden chain of Kundalini, when we just chanted Om Namo Gurudev Namo, this chant, you could chant it before any yoga class that you wanted to take. You could chant it at the first thing in the morning, just to connect spiritually with yourself, right? It's that kind of chant. You can take this with you as a tool and chant it on your own. You'll take the inhale, and then when you exhale, as I was talking to Jenny, it's a very nasally sound. And you focus on the exhale and you chant the entire time you're exhaling. And if you have to take a sip of air, take a sip of air. And there's Om Namo, there's some great Kundalini people that are very talented musically that have put this to music. So it's really, you'll be able to find a lot of cool stuff on YouTube. And Pandora. I'm a Pandora person more than a Spotify, but I'm sure it's on Spotify too. All right, so there's 84, and the tongue stimulates those points. When that happens, the hypothalamus, the pineal gland radiates, and that's when we start to feel that what happens is the glands of the brain start to secrete, and oftentimes when you're chanting or practicing pranayama, you'll start to get the saliva in your mouth. That's the Amrit, the nectar of the gods. And so feel free to, if you're comfortable swallowing that, swallow that down and then keep on. But just know that that is a natural, let's say, reflex or response to pranayama meditation or mantra meditation, because you are vibrating the higher glands of the brain. Now this was the study that was done in Sweden, that when humming or chanting Om, it can start to create some sinus drainage. And so that's good to know if your sinuses are blocked up. Just start oming around the house. grab your neti pot and do some oming. Now, I did add, feel the sound. So on your own here, take a deep breath, close your eyes, and then release the sound, ah, and notice where it vibrates. Ah. Okay, now store that. Inhale. Now Om. Notice where that went, vibration, and now E. Deep breath. E. Now we'll go with Sa. Inhale. Sa. Inhale. Ta. Inhale. Na. Inhale. Ma. Inhale. Suspend the breath. Exhale. Free to open your eyes. So any comments on that? Could you identify the different vibrational currents and where they went? Some thumbs ups or anything? Oh, okay, wait a minute. Let me pull up the... Yes, 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 went down, went up to and down in my body. Some like they felt like they were further down in the body's torso, okay? Yes. So then the in, the na, and the ma, some of the third eye point, some went higher, especially like the E. The E tends to go, E carries it higher. So that was just a fun way to play around with, to experience on your own the vibrational currents and how they move around, so that you can have an understanding that whenever we're chanting, some in the third eye point and some of the heart. Yes. Hi, Antoinette. Some were felt more in the facial, others deep in the chest. Yes, yes. Very good. So, yay, that your mind was calm enough and in a neutral enough place that you could feel the vibrations and determine where they were at and how you felt. That was just a little experiment so that you could, on your own, feel what these people must have felt that were in the study. Can you imagine? I would have signed up for that study, though. Get around and just chant Om, right? How cool would that be? The three minds. Now, the three minds are also part of the 10 bodies, and we are going to discuss the 10 bodies. The 10 bodies are the soul body, negative mind, the neutral mind, the physical body, the arc line, the aura body, the pranic body, the subtle body, and the radiant body. So that was just a little teaser because we're going to get down to that later. I've got it later on down in the presentation. On the negative minds, we all have, there's three minds and they're looked at as three bodies and they all intertwine with each other. The negative mind is like a protective mind. If the negative mind is too strong, that's when we need the positive mind to come in and balance out the negative mind. The positive mind is that ability to see good, the ability to wake up and want to do things. But we need the negative mind, the negative protected. The positive mind is seeing the good, feeling good, that kind of having good feelings, a good outlook. But the neutral mind is your meditative mind. And the neutral mind, when it is balanced and strong, it is plugged in to both the negative mind and the positive mind, knowing when to use what and how, because they're working together like this, unless one is overpowering the other. All right. We were here yesterday with this, with the mantras. We speak them aloud. That's to help balance the negative mind. Now that can be speaking or singing aloud, right? It's the language of human. It's the way that it's called. It's the language of human. Now, interesting enough, human, let's see here. I read this morning. You are a human being. Hu means halo or light. Hu means halo or light. And man means mind or mental. And being means now. I thought that was pretty cool. I wanted to share that. I made a note to share that when I read that this morning. So the language of the positive mind, when we whisper the mantra, is the lover. And then when we vibrate the mantra silently, which you are often encouraged to do throughout, usually it's with Sat Nam, truth is my identity, that's the divine and the meditative mind. All right, so here we're coming to the mudras, where we can see our hands are connected to the ethers. They're connected to Jupiter, Saturn, the Sun, Mercury, Venus, and Mars. The thumb is also known as the ego. So oftentimes we're plugging, the fingers in, we're connecting the energy there, or like when we did the ego eradicator mudra, we were plugging the thumbs into the sky. Now we've got mudra connecting the circuits. So each finger has its own spark of connection. Science also confirms around every finger there is a concentration of free electrons. And now this is how, when we start connecting the fingers or doing any kind of mudra that there is, whether you're crossing your arms or some mudras you go over the head to expand the aura. There's all kinds of mudras and things. But that stimulates our chakra system. The chakras from the lower all the way up, 1 through 7, and even into the 8th and the 9th, 10th. There's chakras outside of you as well. Lots of information. We have meditation focus points when we practice Kriya, Kundalini Yoga. The most popular, and to know this is your default gazing point. If you're practicing Kriya and say the teacher doesn't tell you a gazing point, your eyes are closed, go ahead and roll the eyes up and focus at the third eye point. It's between the brows and up. That begins to stimulate the pituitary gland, and when the pituitary gland becomes stimulated, it starts to talk to your pineal gland and your hypothalamus gland. And this is where we start to create the secretions, the amrit. When you gaze at the tip of the nose, that balances Ida, Pingala, and Sushumna. Now these Ida, Pingala, and Sushumna are at the base. Well, Ida and Pingala are at the base of the spine. The Sushumna is subtle energy that runs along the spine. Ida and Pingala are at the base of the spine. Ida on the left is cooling moon, feminine energy. Pingala on the right, which is connected more with the sun, heat, masculine energy. When those two energies awaken, they serpentine up the Sushumna, up the energy center that goes along the spine, and they cross over the chakra systems. all the way up. When they come up to the top of the head, they go into each other and then they start to come back down. So that's how those three energies work. And we do use those three energies in Kundalini yoga, waking up the Kundalini at the base of the spine. The tip of the nose is going to stimulate the pineal gland, and that's more mid-brain. When we are using the focus point, how this works is move the eyes, it stimulates, and the optic nerve goes, it goes way back in here and in, and then it gives the pituitary gland a little squeeze, a little massage, and wakes it up. It starts talking to it. And then it starts talking to the other higher glands. Tip of the chin. Now, if you were doing that, you would have the eyes closed and you're looking down towards the tip of the chin, because of course you wouldn't really be able to see it, but you're just visualizing that direction. That one's not used very often, but it does come up in occasional kriyas. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. The top of the head. Now, we did use this one when we did the ego eradicator. So my recommendation for that is when you roll the eyes up and you're gazing up into the brow point, extend your vision upwards right onto the top. Can you see me? Yeah, the top of the head, right into this region. That's how that would work. And this, again, is going to stimulate the pineal gland, because the pineal gland's more mid-brain. That's the top of the head. And 1/10 open, 9/10 closed. This is when you're gazing at the nose, or say you're gazing towards the chin or your feet or something like that. You soften the eyes closed where they're just open just enough for you to be able to look at the tip of the nose. Now, if you practice that for just a little bit, it's pretty intense feeling. It's a pretty intense feeling. To feel that one, I do a kriya, a pranayam. I do a pranayam in the evening with all this, and I guess it's a kriya because it's got all of the parts in it. And that looking at the tip of the nose is you have to really strengthen the optic nerves for that. The eye focus, in general, is very calming and starts to wake up our intuition. Okay, so I redid the Kirtan Kriya because we had a lot of questions on that, and I took it directly from, I'm gonna make sure that that's not somebody trying to call me to get in. Okay, we take that directly from, I took this directly from the teaching of Yogi Bhajan, because I wanted to have it, I wanted to get myself out of the way of it and just put his words so you all would have that. This meditation brings total mental balance to the individual psyche. Vibrating on each fingertip alternates the electrical polarities. The index finger and ring fingers are electrically, that's a hard word to say, negative relative to all other, relative to the other fingers. Woo! Take a breath. This causes a balance in the electromagnetic projection of the aura. Practicing this meditation is both a science and an art. It is an art in the way it molds consciousness and in the refinement of sensation and insight it produces. It is a science in the tested certainty of the results each technique produces. Now, I don't know if, I think it was Adriana. Adriana is here, or it could have been Antoinette, was sharing their experience about chanting this, and they chanted it as a song. So I looked that up because I remembered that. Now, in this particular use of Satanama, and keep in mind, Satanama is a mantra. And it's basically a mantra with the 5 primal sounds. It's a cycle of life. You can see here where it says Sa is your infinity cosmos beginning. Ta is life existence. Na is death, change, transformation. And Ma is rebirth. So it's the cycle, right? It's a cycle. Satanama is a Panji Shabad, which basically means 5 sounds, or 5 forms of speech, 5 sounds. That's how that would translate. Can be used in various different ways. The class that I told you I attended a class last night, I had never done Satanama the way that she taught it. And it was like this. It was through the Kriya. It wasn't just standalone, but it was Sa, Ta, Na, Ma. That's what we said it silently to ourselves. That's how Satama Nama was used in that Kriya. So in the Kriya that I taught yesterday with Kirtan Kriya, we did it more like this, where we just said it. And the idea when you're saying it is just to keep a nice even tone of the voice. Sa, ta, na, ma, sa, ta, na, ma. And then we whispered it, and then we mentally vibrated it silent to ourselves, and then we came back in with the whisper, came back in with it aloud, and then we closed it with an inhale. The hands are held in Gyan Mudra, right? So that's connecting the Jupiter finger to the Venus, Mars, or ego. Action of knowledge. Now here's the rest of this where you can see, so you've got Sa, the first finger Jupiter, Gyan Mudra, knowledge. Ta, second finger Saturn, the Shuni Mudra, it's wisdom, intelligence, patience. Na, it's the third finger, the ring finger. Surya Mudra has the energy of the sun, vitality, energy of life. Ma, touching the fourth finger, the pinky finger, Buddhi mantra, ability to communicate. So we can start to see how much energy is in these mudras and mantras that we are chanting. And then we're also focusing on our pranayama. So we're working the pranic body, which is one of our 10 bodies, right? Working the 3 bodies of the mind, negative, positive, and neutral. And the pranic body, the physical body. And here's where I talked about the 3 consciousness of the language. Human, normal, or loud voice is the world, or lovers, strong, whisper, longing to belong, and then divine, mentally, silent, infinity. And we talked about the L form, and I wanted to just briefly go over that because I was giving you the example of what it would look like with my hand so that you could visualize it would be like this. You would be chanting Sa, so Sa would come in through the crown chakra and out the brow point. So it comes in the 7th chakra, out the 6th chakra. Ta comes in the 7th chakra, out the 6th chakra. Sata nama. But you don't use your hands. Some people got confused on that. So you don't do this, right? And that was I apologize because I showed you that, but I didn't make it clear. I was only showing you with my hands so that you would have a visual of how the words would come in and go out. Come in and go out. And the really cool thing about that is that begins to connect the pineal gland to the pituitary gland, and that's known as the golden cord. Different from the golden chain, that's your lineage of teachers. The golden cord would be that connection of the pineal gland to the pituitary gland, which means you're probably going to get some pretty good amrit from that, some saliva building up in the mouth that you can swallow. And the L form is very important when you're doing this form of Satanama or any high energy chant. It just helps circulate the energy through the brain, and that helps with headaches. But it's definitely specific to this Kirtan Kriya. to use the L form. I think I have a chat here. Let me check it out. No, L form is not the golden chain. L form is the golden cord. It's different than the chain, just slightly. And that can get a little like, what? But yes, it's called the golden cord. How is it possible to time this without looking at the clock? Well, that's a good question. And that's when I don't want to say her name right now or she'll wake up, but use your AI. I'll go ahead and say it. Like if you've got Alexa, stop. She's great for time. She's wonderful for helping you because you can just, and maybe Siri does it too. I'm not for sure. This AI stuff is so fascinating, but use them to time. That's what I do when because I can just call it out and then I'll take my inhale and she's going off telling me, you know, beep, 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 and I'll say stop and then start again. So that's what I would recommend. It's fabulous. Okay, sounds good. If not, when I teach class, I use my phone so I can see the timer. And that's okay for me when I'm teaching because I'm watching you guys either on the screen or in class. But when I practice on my own, I definitely tune into AI. Okay, it's like this. Each time the mudra is closed by joining the thumb with the finger, the ego seals the effect of that mudra in consciousness, right? So cool. Okay, let me see here. I've got a chat. Answer. Let me go to the next screen. Okay. I'm going to download the inside. Oh yeah. Okay, that would work. I'm not familiar with that, but yeah, do that. Why not? Yeah, good idea. Make the timer easier for you because I don't know if you were here yesterday, you may remember I talked about that, and I'm not sure if I mentioned it or not. I may have just thought it and not actually said it, but that was one of my I had a little resistance to that was I wasn't used to using a timer, right? You have to look at the time and set the time. Now that I've been using a timer, I love it because I can just set the timer, forget about it, and enjoy my Kriya and know that when the timer goes off, it's done. I go to the next thing. But it did take some getting used to. Okay, so and again, I think it was Adriana that was saying that when she first did the Kirtan Kriya, it was a sing-along kind of thing. It was Satanama, Satanama. That is another way to use this. The cool thing about that is there's been research done on it through the Alzheimer's Prevention Organization that found that 12 minutes a day helped their Alzheimer's patients. Now it's got the Kirtan Kriya as a type of meditation from Kundalini yoga tradition, which has been practiced for thousands of years. This meditation is sometimes called a singing exercise, as it involves singing the sounds sa, ta, na, ma, along with repetitive finger movements or mudras. This is a non-religious practice, can be adapted to several lengths, but practicing for just 12 minutes a day has been shown to reduce stress levels and increased activity in the areas of the brain that are central to memory. Yay. Okay. What do the words mean? In Sanskrit, Kirtan Kriya, Kriya refers to a specific set of movements. So remember we talked about that, a specific set of movements, or oftentimes Kundalini would say exercises. And that's going to include your pranayama, your mudra, and your mantra. And then for us, a lot of times the asana as well. In the Eastern tradition, Kriyas are used to help bring the body, mind, and emotion into balance to enable healing. And now their translation of Sat Nam is my true essence. It's all good. Truth is my identity, my true essence, all good. This type of meditation has been practiced for thousands of years, singing. Okay, so that's a repeat there. In Sanskrit, kirtan is, okay, I want to read this. What does it mean? Okay, oh, this is a little bit repeating. I'm going to have to fix that. Okay, so it is essential to use these sounds during the meditation, or can other sounds be used as a substitute? From an Eastern perspective, it is believed that the placement of the tongue on the roof of the mouth while making these sounds stimulates 84 acupuncture points. Those are the meridians that we talked about earlier, of the upper palate. This causes a beneficial biochemical transformation in the brain. In addition, Western research has revealed that utilizing the fingertip position in conjunction with the sounds enhances blood flow to particular areas in the motor sensory part of the brain. I think it was Lauren that was asking about this yesterday. So here is the research that Lauren would need. She was asking me a question. So Lauren, if you're tuned in, I'm not for sure if I saw your name, but here you go. Clinical research has shown that practicing Kirtan Kriya for just 12 minutes, okay, we've read that, can improve cognitive and activate parts of the brain that are central to memory. Replacing Kirtan Kriya sounds with other sounds, or replacing the meditation as a whole with other relaxing task has not been shown to be effective. So this is where, when you're asking about the vibration and the length and the things like this, keep this in mind. Anytime research is being done, they have to have control groups. You have to do it with a control group so that you have this group that's doing it one way, this group that's doing another way. You do it for a specific length of time. Typically, they try to get very, very centered on it's the same time of day, so that everything is matching up so that their data is very accurate. They did the research on this, and that's what they found out, singing the mantra versus not singing the mantra. However, when we practice mantra, that vibration is still carrying currents to the brain, which we know because we feel the saliva come into our mouth. So we know that the glands are being activated and different parts of the brain are being activated. And we also know this just by speaking words, because they're neurotransmitters in the brain. Okay. Let's see. The Alzheimer's Research and Prevention Foundation believes that in various parts of Kirtan Kriya are each vital to the whole, recommends practicing it in the traditional way to fully recap the benefits of the exercise. That being said, other methods reducing stress like deep breathing, listening to music, and other types of meditation may be beneficial to your health. We agree. Okay. This is a quote from BKS Iyengar. Pranayama teaches the aspirant to regulate his breath and thereby control the mind. Okay, so now we're up to new information, I believe. Correct? Everybody, this is new. We didn't go over this yesterday. Okay, so that was our recap. We're all caught up? Oh, good, Lauren. Thank you. I'm glad. I hope that's very helpful for your question, to answer your question. Okay, pranayama, connect to your breath and beyond. I like playing with titles, can you tell? Okay, so prana, life force, pran, first unit, ayam, expansion. Breathing is a fundamental tool in our practice and our daily life. Promotes health and vitality, opening the range and creativity of the emotions, helps to control moods, amen, develops concentration, promotes a feeling of connectedness. Breath awareness begins with recognizing the breath as both the gross physical breath as well as the subtle life force prana. Practicing Kundalini yoga encourages you to look at the habit of ignoring the breath. Profound. The habit of ignoring the breath. We often hold our breath, and we don't even realize it. We don't, till we tune in, we're like, oh, that's why I'm so stressed out. I've been holding my breath all this time. Students are encouraged to breathe powerfully, creating sound as well as movement within the body. Excellent for toning the vagus nerve, clearing blockages within the body, mind, and spirit. Because we're all those things. Breath of fire. Okay, so the breath of fire, I thought about this yesterday, and I don't know if, I believe it was Molly that brought up that, and some of you all may have said this as well, or felt it and not brought it up, but had some anxiety around the breath of fire. And as I was contemplating the feedback from you all yesterday, and you know, how I could just, I really want to serve you to the best of my ability. And I thought, wow, okay, so what could we do in that case? And I remembered that different people learn different ways. There are some people that learn tactile experience. If they can touch it and feel it and get on the mat, that's all they need. They can see that. And then there's other people that learn just by reading. They can read a book, a manual, and voila, they're doing it. They learn by reading, or you know, that kind of intake. And then there's people that learn by watching, like they'll watch someone practice, and if it didn't make sense verbally, okay, so they're a verbal learner. If it didn't make sense verbally coming to them, they watch it and they're like, oh, touch your hands to your toes. That's what you were saying. I see that now. And they learn, right? So on the breath of fire, first of all, one of the things that will really help you with the breath of fire is if you focus on keeping your awareness at the navel point. Let the breath come from the navel point. And what that means is that when you are moving your belly button, your navel point in and out and in and out, the diaphragm, very large muscle, is moving up and down and up and down, which means when you squeeze your belly in, the diaphragm goes up and it's going to push on your lungs, which means it's going to push air out. When you release your navel and your belly goes out, the diaphragm drops down, which allows the lungs to expand and you start to suck in air. That, if we keep it focused on that, is a much more efficient way to use your breathing muscles and organs, right? So perhaps that will help, I hope. And the other thing I thought of is if you are experiencing some anxiety around it and you're not quite for sure how it or what it would look like, sound like, pull it up on a YouTube video, a good source, and watch. Because if you happen to be a visual learner, which I definitely am, that helps me the most. Now I'm auditory, because you've got the auditory, that was it. You've got the auditory learners that can listen to something and they just get it. And then the verbally that they speak it, you know, so that for me, I didn't finish that sentence, so that could be helpful. I'll finish the sentence. That could really change your breath of fire if you watch it and see it and then begin to play around with it. Does anybody have any comments on that? Because I'm about to start reading this, and I really want to serve and help those that anxiety around the breath of fire to help you see it. Because one of the ways that we heal is that when we can identify what it is, then we can start to figure out how we can heal it within ourselves, right? If we don't know what it is or where it is, we're kind of like, what? That's where when I was speaking about, I felt that pressure on my back. And for me, it came to me where it's like, oh, that's prana, like little nanobites in my back opening up. Because today it was like amazing. I thought, oh my gosh, it's like I have a new spine. Amazing. Okay, let's see. We got something in the chat. Thank you for, okay, good. Hi, Erica. Good to have you. Oh, and Erica, you are the person, you and Sue, yes, and the focal point being the navel point. Yes, yes. I thought of you as well as and now I'm trying to think of whether it was Sue or Erica, which one of you said that you have stuff going on with your neck, and when you first started practicing the Kriyas, you felt it in the neck, and then it started to dissipate. That's the prana. That's the energy working, and I am thankful that I had a Kundalini awakening around that, because yesterday when I was trying to figure out, well, what are they feeling? Is it muscular? Is it in the skeletal structure? Is it the nervous system? Is it what is it feeling? And no one could really give it words. Like, it just feels different. I noticed that when I dropped into the class last night, I started to have that experience after class. It was like a pressure feeling to me. And I tuned in, and like I said, drink water, take a shower, eat healthy food, get plenty of rest, let your body assimilate, trust in your body's intelligence. And then the next day I get up, I get on the mat, I was like, voila, Kundalini energy. Okay, so the breath of fire is one of the foundation breath techniques used in the practice of Kundalini yoga. It accompanies many postures and has numerous beneficial effects. It is important to master this breath so that it is done accurately and becomes automatic. Breath of fire is rapid, rhythmic, and continuous. It is equal on the inhale and exhale with no pause between them. Approximately 2 to 3 cycles per second. Let's not get too heady about it though, okay? So just take that in and trust in your body's process to assimilate the information that you're receiving. It is always practiced through the nostrils with a closed mouth unless stated otherwise. Breath of fire is powered from the navel point and solar plexus to exhale. The air is expelled powerfully through the nose by pressing the navel point solar plexus back toward the spine. This feels automatic when you contract the diaphragm rapidly. And in Kundalini yoga, breath of fire, Agni Pran. Agni means fire. Pran is your pranayama. We saw that in the first unit, the previous slide. To inhale, the upper abdominal muscles relax, the diaphragm extends down, and the breath seems to come in as a part of relaxation rather than effort. The chest stays relaxed and slightly lifted throughout the breathing cycle. Some tingling, traveling sensations, and lightheadedness are completely normal as your body adjusts to the new breath and new stimulation of nerves. Concentrating at the brow point may help relieve these sensations. Sometimes the symptoms are results of toxins and other chemicals released by the breath technique. These symptoms may be relieved by drinking lots of water and changing to a light diet. And just briefly, as a Kundalini teacher, I have a vegetarian diet. Now that was one of the things that when we took our training with the Kundalini folks, they're vegetarian. And so it doesn't mean that you have to be vegetarian. You stay in your lane, you do what supports your life force. For me personally, the vegetarian diet does work very nicely for my dosha, but that's my experience. And please do not think that you need to change your diet, but eating light, healthy, fresh, clean, organic foods is a benefit, okay? Recommended not to be done while pregnant or menstruating or on a full stomach. That would make sense because all that pumping of the stomach. Could get you. Benefits of breath of fire. Releases toxins and deposits from the lungs, mucus linings, blood vessels, and other cells. Expands the lung capacity and increases vital strength. Strengthens the nervous system to resist stress. Repairs the balance between the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous systems. Strengthens the navel chakra. Increases physical endurance and prepares you to act effectively. Adjusts the subtle psychoelectromagnetic field of the aura so that the blood becomes energized. Reduces addictive impulses for drugs, smoking, and bad foods. Increases oxygen delivery to the brain, facilitating a focused, intelligent, and neutral state of mind. Boosts the immune system and may help prevent many diseases. Promotes synchronization of the biorhythms of the body's system. So I got that from the 3ho.org website. I've listed my sources down here on each page so that you know where I've pulled this information from in case you want to do more research on your own. How are we? Any questions before I move on to aura? Would we like to experiment with the breath of fire for a little bit? That'd be nice, huh? Let us do that. Let me figure out. Okay, I'm going to stop the share. Because, well, I don't know. Can you all see me very clearly? Can everyone see me okay? Oh, okay. Well, then we're okay. Let's sit. Let me bring it down more towards. Can you see my belly right here? Okay. All right, so the breath of fire. Here we go. Remember, we want to focus it at the navel points. I'm going to take an inhale, and I'm going to begin. If you want to watch a few cycles and then join in, you certainly can. Or you could skip it all together if your tummy's full or if you've got any of the other contraindicators. Then inhale and begin. Now slow. See, it's very hard for me to feel comfortable doing it slow because I'm very used to doing it rapid. All right, so was that helpful to see the action? Yes? Okay, so let's take, because here's the deal, and hopefully I don't need to blow my nose. Watch if I try to just do it all through my nasal, through the nose. Can you hear that strain? Can you see how tense this is? And I'm upper body breathing. Do you see that? That's me doing it, no focus on my navel. Now here's the deal. If I were to continue doing it that way, now see, watch, I'm not using the navel. See how my belly wasn't pumping? Could you all see that? Yes? Thumbs up? So if this is fight or flight breathing here, when we go into fight or flight, it's chest lifts up, you're out of here, right? This is fight or flight breathing. It's going to stress you out because we only breathe up there if we're in danger. That's a fight or flight response breath. That's why focusing on the navel point is so key, to drop it down into the navel point and focus from there versus trying to pull it in from there. That's going to not feel very good and cause anxiety for sure. So let's experiment with it for just, wait a minute. There's some chats, so I want to answer the chats before we experiment. Okay, so Adriana, you have a question, never mind, yes. A strong core does help. A strong core does help, but more you would, in yes, but do you know it's actually harder for people to relax the abdominal wall, especially I find in women, because so many women want to suck their belly in. Heaven forbid, suck your belly in, right? Let that thing just Dunlap over. You know what I'm saying? Relax your belly. So many times it's harder for people to relax the belly than to contract the belly, which is why so oftentimes the inhale is the one that's a little more shallow, until you're able to feel it pumping. Okay, Antoinette says, I think that's my case. It's like I can't seem to get it pumping. So what you could do to practice that is just some gentle belly breathing. Inhale. Let's see. We're going to go over this. I'm going to go over this with you. We're going to experiment. Women tend to hold so much emotional pain in the lower chakras. That is very true. The lower chakras in general tend to hold a lot of pain for us, because that's you know, our connection to tribe and family and things like that. Our core belief system as well. Okay, let's see here. Let me put this, I'm going to move my view here so that you can see me a little bit easier. Okay, so that looks like you've got a pretty good view of what's going on. So find a comfortable seat in a chair, or you can sit cross-legged on the floor, whichever way you're comfortable. Place your hand on your belly, close your eyes, and relax your belly. Just relax the belly and just breathe normally right now for just a little bit. And without changing the breath or changing anything, just notice how you breathe within a natural state. We're just going to do some belly breathing. As you inhale, gently push your hand away. Like there's a balloon in your belly filling up. And as you exhale, gently draw your belly towards your spine. Inhale. Breathing into the belly. Exhale. The belly moves back towards the spine. Make sure you're muted if you're not already for right now. Inhale. Expand the belly forward and out. Open the ribs. Notice if you can feel the lungs. Exhale. The belly button comes in, draws to the back of the spine. Push the air out. And experiment with this on your own for just a few more breaths. Deep belly breathing. Take an inhale breath, belly out. Suspend your breath and hold your focus, belly out. And now exhale, belly in, belly button towards the spine. See if you can hold the breath out for a few seconds. And inhale. And place your hand on your knee or thigh. So that was, that's called belly breathing. If you're working with new students or teaching, you're teaching a class and you want just a gentle breath, that's a very nice way to help people learn how to breathe again. Because a lot of times they reverse it. they do the opposite of that, of the inhale, the belly going out, and the exhale, the belly coming in. All right, let's see, thank you. Yes, awareness of the core, not necessarily activating. And then Jenny says, I reverse often. Reversing the, yes, and I'm glad that you brought that up, because reversing the breath, and you all are in a yoga teacher training, you're going to come up with that a lot. It's going to come into class where people have reversed their breathing and they're really struggling to breathe. Yes, I can repeat the breathing and inhale, exhale on the belly breathing. And a lot of it stems from, we're so used to holding our stomach in that the thought of relaxing it and letting it, Jenny's laughing, that's funny. It's just foreign to us. We're like, no, suck it in, buttercup. Okay, so hand on the belly. Does it come up more often in men and women? No, not necessarily, actually. I see it a lot in men as well, because remember, men, masculine energy, they want to look good for you, right? So they're going to suck their belly in and hold their belly in, right? They don't want to let it out. So, and in the chest too. So yeah. It totally affects both sides. Okay. In the chest, yeah. The chest breathing, meaning the upper chest fight or flight. So let's go back to a little belly breathing so everyone can get a good grasp of that, because that can help you fall asleep. If you've got a meeting that you're about to go to, or maybe you're a little nervous before you touch yoga, something of this nature, belly breathing will help you to relax, right? It's excellent for the parasympathetic nervous system. And the parasympathetic nervous system is the nervous system that puts the brakes on. The sympathetic nervous system is the one that pushes down on the gas pedal. Okay. All right. So hand on the belly. This is just a nice tactile way to learn. You don't have to do it, but it is helpful. Inhale, the belly button goes out. Push your hand away. Exhale. You could gently press the hand against the belly button as you draw the belly button towards your spine. Push the air out. Exhale. Inhale. Belly fills up like air in a balloon. Keep it in the belly. Exhale. The hand can encourage the back to help you learn direction. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Belly out. Exhale. Belly in. So are we good with that? Yes. Belly breathing. It's also called, thank you. It's also called diaphragmatic breathing too, where you're really trying to encourage the diaphragm movement of going up and down. Okay, so now breath of fire. We do that, but we do it rapidly to really get the diaphragm moving up and down and the breath moving in and out. So if you need to watch, feel free to watch. Okay, that would help you watch a few cycles and then join in, or just watch today if that's where you're at. Fine. Hands on the knees, eyes closed, optional. I'm going to close my eyes to help, pratyahara, withdraw my senses inward. I'm going to start with an inhale. I'll pull the shirt a little tighter so you can really see. Notice I took a full deep breath and expanded my belly outwards to prepare. Now I'll begin. Notice when I'm doing that, my chest, my face, my neck muscles, I'm not up here in my fight or flight breathing muscles. I'm down here. Inhale, belly expands. Exhale to begin. No, I try to get closer to you so you would actually possibly hear almost like a vacuum. Let me see if I can do that. I don't know how well the volume picks up, but let's see. See if you can almost hear like a vacuum. You bring this down so you can kind of see the belly moving. And hopefully still hear me. Can you see mostly my belly right here? Okay, here we go. I'm gonna take my inhale and see if you can hear like a vacuum. Okay, not for sure whether you were able to actually hear that, how it was translating, but the feeling was awesome for me. Because there was no tension. It was relaxed, everything was relaxed here, and the diaphragm was just pumping for me. It was doing it. Some people refer to that breath almost like a bellows, you know, like when you're using a bellow to fan the fire. Okay. Let's see what we got going on. Okay. What's the effect on the vagus nerve or the vagus nerve? Las Vegas. If you want to know how to say the vagus nerve, think Las Vegas, vagus nerve. It strengthens it. It stimulates it and it strengthens it. It's wonderful work for the vagus nerve. Because the vagus nerve, you know, comes from the brain and goes all the way down to the perineum. However, because the navel point is where all life started, that's the power point to really start stimulating the vagus nerve. So it is absolutely wonderful toning for your vagus nerve. Are there any bandhas engaged during breath of fire? With specific kriyas, there may be, like you might be in a kriya, say for example, in the 10 bodies kriya, there is, let me see here, let me put you, okay. All right. So there's, and you see me still? There's one where it's, can you hear me, I hope? And then you do the breath of fire. So in order for me to get way up here, I'm going to engage Jarlin Harbanda. And now I'm going to do the breath of fire. Okay, so in that case, I used a slight Jarlin Harbanda in that position to help me hold up my head, right? Just a slight one though. And there are times where, yes, you may be encouraged to engage your root lock and then pump the navel point. So yes, but you would be told that in the specific kriyas. And, you know, it's much more challenging. So I would say when just practicing it on, unless it's specified in a kriya that you're practicing, just focus on the breath of fire. Just focus on that, right? Unless it's specified to engage a certain lock with the breath of fire, just focus on the breath of fire. Okay, I just want to confirm that the sharp exhale is when you're pulling your abdominal in, and it's a passive inhale. Yes, because, and I say that, because remember, okay, so when I read, you know, you're keeping your chest and everything relaxed. If you focus on the exhalation, really squeezing the stomach in, when you release the belly and the belly goes out, the diaphragm comes down and the air, and eventually you'll feel this situation, it's like it just sucks right in. So you don't have to work hard to pull that air in. Allow the diaphragm to help you do more of that, or then you're going to get up here and you're going to find yourself doing it from here, which sounds kind of like the breath of fire, but it's not. So with the breath of fire, belly also pushes out. Pushes out, relaxes out, move it out. Yeah, not to get too heady on the words. It's not that you have to really forcefully push it out. Typically, if you just relax it and it goes out, that is enough. So when we pull bandhas after a kriya, think of it more like it's to seal the deal. Like it's to help your body record what you just did and seal, and seal the energy in your body and allow you some time to soak it in. Right? It doesn't have to be for very long. How tightly, I need clarification on your navel. How tightly do you hold it in? It's very rapid for me. I don't hold it in very tight at all. I just move my navel point in and out, in and out, in and out, and get a nice rhythm going. There's not really a pause, so to speak. I don't know whether I answered that question. I hope that answered the question. Okay, so it sounds like we've got some good. Antoinette, let me know if I answered your question or if I got there, because once again, so see, here I go. I'll take an inhale, belly out, and I'll begin. So see, you may have been practicing too slow. Yeah. To get the hang of it, if you're going to practice that kind of thing slow, do the belly breathing so that you can get just used to moving your navel point in and out and get the feel and the rhythm of that without the breath of fire. And then once that starts to become more familiar, then start moving into the breath of fire. So does that help everyone? Yes. It's not necessary. It's really not. It's a rapid breathing. But you definitely, what I would caution against is competing with anybody. Let your speed be your speed, right? How fast, because I know some people that can do breath of fire really, really, really fast. And I'm like, oh, no way could I do that. So we all have our own rhythm, okay? So belly breathing. In most cases, when you lay on your back, you tend to switch to belly breathing unless you just chronically really hold the belly in. And we tend to do that if we've experienced sometimes some trauma, when it's on the really chronic side of it. Why? Because exhaling is a release, to exhale and relax. And if we've gone through some trauma, maybe we're not real comfortable releasing and exhaling like that. Okay, so if we're good, I'd like to move on to the aura. Get focused on that. Yay! Woo woo. Okay, so the aura, the electromagnetic field. Scientific, we have found that the aura is electromagnetic field of energy that extends all around our body for about 4 to 5 feet in average on a healthy body, and appears to be depleted in cases of an unhealthy person. The aura of a person is directly connected to the level of health of the person. A person is considered to be healthy in terms of physical vitality, mental clarity, emotional well-being, as well as highly positive spiritual energies. So a person who is healthy at all these levels has a bigger and brighter aura, and vice versa in the case of an unhealthy person. If we study our ancient Indian texts, especially the subtle anatomy of our human chakra system, which is actually a very important aspect of our aura. Spiritually, we can say that aura is our very own soul nature. It reflects our innermost desires, feelings, emotions, etc. I took this from biofieldglobal.org. That was my source, just so that you know. Okay. Let me see. We're doing well. Nothing in the chat so far. All righty. Here we go. Aura is the layer of energy which interconnects all other subtle bodies and also acts like a shield covering and protecting our more refined subtle bodies like the mental, emotional, and spiritual and astral bodies. Like for our physical body to survive and maintain its health, oxygen plays a vital role for our existence. Similarly, the pranic forces, which are commonly called prana, is in the subtle energy that is required by our more refined bodies to function and maintain a good health. So if we want our bodies to absorb oxygen properly from the environment, we should keep our lungs healthy, thereby keeping our physical body healthy. Similarly, if we want our subtle body to function properly and to absorb the pranic energies properly, we need to keep our aura healthy. Like for our physical bodies, we do regular exercises to keep it healthy and working. We should also practice some form of energy exercise, which regulates the proper flow of pranic energies in our subtle bodies. Woo! That's something. Okay. I believe there's some information in the chat. Let's see here. Yes. Okay, so Lauren's saying she had an aura photograph last year. I've done that too, Lauren, and they're really, really fun and very cool. How much is about 4 to 5 feet? Oh, you know, it could extend. Now, here's the deal on the 4 to 5 feet. Here's a little factoid. I have been told by my teachers that when, especially people that, okay, let me get this out. Let me slow down. I'm excited. People that practice martial arts, somebody like, let's say, Bruce Lee. Did you notice, if you were a Bruce Lee fan, he often seemed like he knew the move was coming before it came. And people were like so fascinated by that cat. I mean, he could do the most incredible things and move in ways that was just like, wow. So the belief around that is that it was his auric field, that his auric field was so strong and he was so aware of it that when things would come into the auric field, he would know it was there and react and respond. And that is true. Now, he had a lot of martial arts. You know, he probably did a lot of pranayama, a lot of meditation, really strengthened his 10 bodies. So he had a very strong auric field. 4 to 5 feet, you could say, would probably be something like, you know, your arms out in front of you and around you. That would be the equivalent to 4 or 5 feet. It's on top. It can even extend down into the earth. Think how the earth would love to feel your auric field and you to feel hers. What a beautiful connection. So 1.5 meters, 1 to 5 point meters. Woo! Okay, so we answered that question. So just belly breathing. All right. So in Kundalini Yoga, there are specific kriyas that strengthen the auric field. And when strengthening the auric field, you are putting a shield around you. So this is not only a form of protection from energetic thought or vampires or stuff like that, but also protection against things like viruses, right? Things coming in because your auric field is very strong around you. Does anyone have any comments on their experience with their auric field, or even being able to feel your auric field? In my experience, practicing yoga strengthened my auric field. Just the practice of yoga, the awareness, strengthening your prana, becoming more aware of your energy bodies, strengthens the auric field. But practicing Kundalini yoga, I have really been able to feel the difference in that, in strengthening the auric field. It's somewhat challenging to explain what that would feel like, but it's almost just like I can just feel an energy around me. I can kind of feel like I'm almost pushing through. Okay, so yesterday, here we go. When we did Sat, Kar, Tar. Sat, Kar, Tar. That strengthens heart energy and the auric field because it's working with the arc line, especially now, because females have an arc line that goes from nipple to nipple. Everybody has an arc line that goes from ear to ear. But things like Sat, Kar, Tar strengthens the arc line in the auric field. Oh, some people can see other people's auras. Yes. Erica, I'm not for sure if I answered that question on what that would feel like, but the more you practice and the more you tune in to your auric field, the better you'll be able to experience it on your own. Try not to get too heady about it. Stay in the heart and let it just be an experience, you know? Since auras, when you work with Reiki and other things, oh, what's the arc line? We're going to talk about the arc line on the 10 bodies, but the arc line, especially ear to ear, is like what would be considered your halo. Okay. Are we good to move on?